back. Okay.
Onward to
Fortune
victory.
smiles on us. An ill omen.
Nothing's impossible for this old officer. An expected result.
Stay sharp.
Stop! There! Just as he ordained. Let us see what I found. Just as I was taught. Watch out. The Vizier. Would he
What
be
the
proud? Am
hell's
I?
going on
Forge
with
ahead.
the camera?
Never later.
Just as he ordained.
Nah, poor Ulthar. My brothers. Once again, fate has barred me from traveling to the Hall of the Allfather with my brothers. The snow-covered battlefield reveals little, but it is clear that the wolves gave furious battle one last time. The rocks are pitted from bolter strikes, and here and there you see scorch marks left by plasma charges. Who are they fighting? I smell no corruption on their bodies, and I see no trace of Xenos weapons. I think they did battle with humans here. Huh. Interesting. What do you think they were looking for here? I do not know what they were seeking, but they certainly found someone here. Otherwise, this crime would have not been committed. I'm sorry they died. Do not be sorry, Aidventor. They died with honor, as the All-Father's warriors should. In the Hall of Kjalhala, their horns will be full to the brim with heady mjod. Ulfar gnashes his teeth in anguish. Heaving in a breath, Ulfar mutters, I sense evil in their deaths. The souls of the baleful howl are not at rest, but remain here on the battlefield. They are not with the Allfather. I must escort them to him. Will you bear witness to the last honor given to my brothers? I shall. Ulfar produces a knife inscribed with scarlet runes. Picking up a rock from the ground, he begins to scratch the rock's sharp edge across the blade, etching a name. His powerful voice rumbles. Hear now the saga of the baleful Howl Pack, proud warriors of Fenris, Vilka Fenrika. The verses weave together, recounting the deeds of each of Ulfar's dead brothers. With incredible precision in every detail, the wolf lists the accomplishments of his comrades, the enemies they slew, and the sacrifices they made. The saga continues at length, and the relentless rhythm sends you into a trance. With a grinding screech, the rock is drawn across the knife blade again and again, inscribing one name after another. On the cold world, they gave battle, the pack's fierce name never disgracing. So ends the saga of the baleful howl, and the void thunders with echo unending. Fenris Fjolda. Ulfar is silent for a long time. The etched knife blade slices across his huge palm, and scarlet drops paint the snow. His weary voice rasps, Hear my oath, Allfather. Helga Thura Aghima. With his bloodied hand, the wolf removes the rune. Excuse me, sorry. The rune-covered horn from his belt, and from a flask pours something dark and sharp-smelling into it. Let us drink to my brothers, Eidvetar, and then we will build the pyre. Accept the horn and sip. Feast well, wolves. Isn't this shit, like, super poison? Won't I die from this? Okay, not dead yet. The astringent liquid burns your throat, and a fog immediately descends over your vision. The sky darkens, and the rising wind whistles in your ears. Through it comes the high-pitched cawing of a bird. Ulfar nods approvingly. It is a sign fate walks beside us. Skjal. Taking back his horn, the wolf takes a mighty swallow of the stuff. Majestic shadows rise in the... What? Oh, okay. Majestic shadows rise in the snowy haze around you, the figures of warriors clad in indestructible armor bearing an emblem of two black fangs piercing the yellow of the sun. They are looking at you. brothers bear witness, which means it is time for us to meet my last comrade. Let's do it. Ulfar lets out a belligerent howl, whipping up snow drifts into frightening whirlwinds. You hear a terrible cracking sound. Someone's feet, no paws, are breaking through the crust of snow on the ground. The beast now comes, and its cruel howl awakens the fallen warriors of Fenris.
Another battle demands our attention.
Death to the unworthy!
If I may, I am a navigator, not a servitor. I'm not accustomed to being ordered around.
Can be all, Father!
Isn't this a job for the serfs?
The Fenris never step back!
If I may,
For the dynasty! They won't set this. Let's set this in motion. I know what to do. I said, so done. Now it's done. I know what to do.
Tear them to shreds, brothers!
Set this.
in the name of House Orselian, I shall prevail.
Let's set this in motion. I know what to do. Not my area of expertise. I said so.
Such a ridiculous amount of damage off this spell. Alright. My verses you will hear, glorious brothers, of how the paths of Ulfar, called Thunderlung from the first and the last wolf of the baleful howl, were intertwined. Over his brother's cold bodies standing, Ulfar the hard-armed proclaimed to the sky their glorious sagas, and his homage paid to those warriors proud, as he witnessed taking his companion of the line von Valentius. The blizzard was raging, and the wind furiously howling, as under that terrible clawed paw, the snow crunched, and in the dead light of a moon strange to human eyes, a beast long fur bristling, of death reeking, into the circle stepped. Terror and awe the beast's form roused, his gory breath to vapor turning, with guile and fierce malice, his eyes glowing, the whirling eddies like a snow cloak upon his shoulders lying, waiting for the beast to feed them with hot blood. Even the moon stood patron to him, his face hiding, but the shadows through the shadows of her deceitful dance, his howl in the old tune echoing of the Fenrisian sagas of mindless rampaging and mortal carnage. His retinue to his aid the rogue trader called, but the cry was drowned out by the harsh elements roaring. Magic with snow whirling, in a dance intertwining. For the beast left a bloody reaping of only two. The Allfather's call two summoned to battle against the beast. You did not fear to meet me, perfidious spirit, with a name Doppelgrendel claims. I see you have not learned from the last battle, though you paid for it with gouged eye. So spoke Ulfar Thunderlung, and the beast replied, Of your spoils you boasted to the priests in vain, Ulfar Everlost. My body alone you wounded, but I your spirit maimed, and your weird crippled. Then came the turn of the Aidvater to speak. And turn the two wolves away from the empty shedding of blood. But it is not given to us to change fate's weaving. The children of Fenris hungered for mortal combat, and enough words have been spoken. The power of words spewed from the beast's mouth, grinning, the cry of the wild hunt, and the embittered souls hearkened. Out of snow and wind wolf bodies were woven, the warriors who died an unclean death, the unavenged, evil never forgetting. Their ice fangs gnashing, they approached into the roiling sky, howling. The first brother by Ulfar was vanished. The second whirling was Von Valentius, the fleet-footed, unable to smite the foe. Among the winds they whirled in a dance of death, the cunning Aidvater, evading those front fangs. By the hunt spellbound, the ghostly wolf darted to and fro, till Ulfar's firm hand sent him scattering across the snow. With dignity was met with every brutal strike, and with savagery was slain each deadly foe. The pack is defeated. But the beast was not yet vanquished, roaring his body he threw into the fray like a mighty spear thrust. Howling, his claw cut through the adamantine. The warriors fought, a river of blood spilling. Ulfar Thunderlung, his battle song singing. The black curse, his vicious rival echoing. The warriors were clashing when cunning Aidvatar with a keen shot struck the enemy from afar. Are you fucking kidding me? Like scarlet ruins upon the snow the blood lay, but the dark wolf's grip did not slacken. Each the other's throat seizing, the warriors fought to the death, but were flagging. But of cunning the beast had enough yet in store. Upon the Aidvetter fell the wolf's fiery gaze. By the powers of icy Fenris I do curse you. If you look into the past, you shall see only deceit. If you look into the future, you shall see only treachery. The false friend's dagger shall open your breast. The arrows of deceit's rod shall pierce your back. So spoke the Aidvetter, the spirit born in sorrow cursing. And then the bloody wound he spied. His breast was cut, his heart was quiet. The Aidvetter's death had caught him unawares. His teeth gritting, the Aidvetter stared down on the foe. The knife in the moonlight gleamed across the wolf's face, cutting. In a blink, the dark gloom receded, the spell dissipated. Glory to brave hearts that fear not death. So the dark beast lay in the snow, his chosen name, the Doppelgrendel, and over his body standing, Ulfar said, "Before you die, answer me, evil spirit. Who killed my brothers, the baleful howl?" In its death rasp, the Doppelgrendel answered, "Brother, we were doomed not by the archenemy's followers, nor by the despicable inhumans who did not touch our armor. Nor with dark sorcery did the Malefics defeat us. No, it was the humans whose oaths of friendship swore that plunged the blade into our back. Their treacherous plot in malice hatched," said the spirit, and then it fell silent forever, the noble wolf's body fleeing, and peace to it bestowing. The pair stood together over the prostrate body. The body not of a beast, but of a brave fallen brother. The fearsome Ulfar declared an oath of vengeance, and the mighty wolves of Kjala went charging. They went knowing that from their betrayers 3 times the blood price would be extracted. And the Aidvetter also his peace spoke. "The honor of Fenris you have defended, Ulfar Thunderlung. My brothers, the Allfather's hall entering, will boldly tell that in death they have not been forgotten." With a joyous roar, these words they will answer, for they surely mean that fierce Fenris still stands. So Ulfar's mighty word was spoken. A proud funeral dirge was sung. His brother's weary body, cursed by grief, from his carapace was freed and laid upon the pyre. The old spinners weave the weird thread cruelly, no inquiries or entreaties accepting. Ulfar Thunderlung cast his gaze, and clearly he beheld the end of his trail. And so ended the saga of the baleful howl. May the Black Maid guide them to Kjallhalla. Not only was only one was not claimed by Morkai the Dark-Hearted. Ulfar Thunderlung stood stalwart upon the ground. Too stubborn for death was this rebellious wolf, too hot to be seized by the chill of the grave. His brothers praising, he raised his deadly axe. Fenris stands, and so there will many yet to slay. Honor to the fierce wolf, son of Fenris. Let us remember, brothers, the baleful howl, daring hunters, fierce fighters, and troublemakers without equal. Let us glorify their exploits and glorify their fall. With honor have these wolves gone to Kjallhalla. Let us remember the mighty Brother Ulfar, who did not abandon his pack in the snowy wastes, let us remember the traitor of the von Valentius line, he whose name is known and honored on Fenris. Let us raise our cups and cry into the face of Hellwinter's gale, Father, we still live. Fenris Hjolda. I mean, there's a reason the Space Wolves are one of the favorite chapters among um, Warhammer players. It's all about the drip. And they have got it in spades. Sure, let's go to the planet. Oh, I'm a fucking dumbass. Not read what that said. Let's try that again.
Let's see this through.
A lot of blood.
This Explorator is blessed with multifunctionality. Marching ahead.
Oh dear. Several disfigured corpses in the uniforms of Inquisition soldiers have been tossed in a grotesque pile between the cogitator and the large obelisk-like statue. Their killers left no trace, but you have the nagging oppressive feeling that the very walls are watching you. The air thick with electricity and the heavy stench of rotting flesh only makes that feeling worse. Okay, examine the machine. You've never seen a cryptographic machine as intricate and unorthodox as this one. The numerous sacred seals of algorithmic asceticism suggest that the spirit dwelling within is exceptionally cunning and powerful, privy to forbidden knowledge. Pascal bows reverently to the sacred machine and whispers this machine's spirit is wayward and apprehensive, for it is tormented Its intricate mind carries many scars from pacifying binaric litanies. The tech priest carefully removes the severed human finger from the input panel, whispers an apologetic prayer to the cogitator, and casually tosses the piece of flesh away. Confirm activation of the information panels. Tension, insufficient data for final cataloging, awaiting data input. Try to extract the data concerning the mechanism's master. The mechanism, having served the Inquisition so faithfully, is loath to part with its secrets. One after another, menacing scarlet dots light up on its casing. Forgive me, ancient spirit, you must be pacified. Your ruthless intrusion into the cogitator's memory chambers yield the following message. Prepare for the start of operations Precious Sentinel. The horrific vision event may come to pass. Orders to abort the research mission and join the contingent on Epitaph. Codes for traversing the minefields are attached. The message has an attachment containing the astronomical coordinates of a planet along with some binary code. Priority 0, contact with Barrier Squadron lost during Dimensional Gate recharging. No confirmation received of gate being sealed. Stay on high alert. Cogitator shrieks indignantly, lighting up with blinding red indicators and letting out a high-frequency howl. A word appears across the entire width of the vid screen. Intrusion. When the ringing in your ears subsides, you realize you hear something else. Someone's heavy footsteps. The vindictive machine's spirit triumphantly displays a blinking prophetic message. We got more Necrons. Yup. Oh.
You will make a fine trophy.
Except on its back. Okay. Yeah, let's just get started.
Running binary is an equation. Your life is a negligible variable.
Isn't this a job for the serfs? I am a navigator, not a
Witness
servitor.
my resolve. I know what to do. I won't expect this. A caution. High momentum.
Easy. Let's set this in motion. That's how it's done. As said, so done. Done. Done.
I'll paint your death in colors.
I know what to do. Easy. As said, so done. None shall endure my wrath. Let's set this in motion. I know what to do. Easy. They won't expect this.
Okay.
One step ahead.
Rejoice in battle! Doubt is for the weak. As the Emperor commands, I act. Faith without deeds is worthless. As the Emperor commands, I act. I'll do it. Power resides in the will of the righteous. As the Emperor commands, this is why I was chosen. Faith without deeds is... I'll do it. Guided by faith. Injured. I'm enraged.
Okay, so come back over here. Now this should do actual damage, right?
your blade and shield. My blade whispers your name. Caught by the web. As honor or my blade whispers your name. As the tenets demand.
Well, that wasn't very effective.
I know what to do. Let's set this in motion. I know what to do.
Oh, because it's got the damn... that's annoying.
As said, so done. They won't expect this. Easy. I know what to do. Let's set this in motion.
Oh my fucking god, are you serious?
Tried and tested tactics are the best ones. Reduce to dust!
Oh, right, they're the,
Heavy is the tread, it is painful.
I'm not accustomed to being ordered around.
and I can't get there, damn it.
Isn't this a job for the serfs? Me, if you insist, Lord Captain.
Caught by the web.
Isn't this a job for the serfs?
As the Emperor commands, I act. I'll do it. Faith without deed.
Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. There we go.
My success is an irrefutable certainty.
Venture forth.
The machine god grants me insight.
Okay, so I guess that's it.
Stay sharp.
Attention to detail is the key to success.
Forge ahead.
Okay.
Never linger.
Well, I guess that's that then. Back to like we just have to make our way to the epitaph world. Lord Captain, unidentified sickle-shaped ships have taken off from the planet we just left. They're approaching swiftly and readying their weapons for battle. Get ready, it's about to get hot in here. How hot?
All stations, report when manned and ready.
Engage the lance batteries! Direct our course. Initiate the barrage! Deploy torpedoes!
Now they really hate the sword class ship.
Let the enemy burn! Purify the battlefield! Launch corpse!
Where we tread, the unfaithful fall.
Commence lance fire! Macro cannons volley! Adjust heading. Deploy torpedoes!
Alright,
We stand victorious.
nice and easy. Lord Captain, what were those things they took off from the surface of the world when where you landed. I've never seen ships like that. Never seen such technologies either. We finished a trophy out of the void, a relatively intact. We fished a trophy out of the void, a relatively intact fragment of a wreck, and sent it to our engine seers. And just in case, we've isolated the compartment where they are performing their comprehension liturgies. Research the tomes in the Rogue Trader's private library. Perhaps it will give us insight into these monsters. Your Lordship, the Cardo Artifacts claims to have found a mention of Xenos similar to the ones we've encountered. The manuscript refers to them as Necrons. Bolster the crew's morale, give out additional rations to those who showed valor in battle. This is just the beginning. I mean, not really, because all we have to do is now just go. Because I think there's only one world I haven't explored, right? I guess I might as well just make the route safe for the hell of it. Lord Captain, a Xenos squadron is on an intercept course. It's the same abominations as before. All decks prepare for battle. Orders received, Lord Captain. Glory to House von Valencius.
Mighty machine spirit, lend us a modicum of thy power.
Let the enemy burn. Purify the battlefield! Macro cannons, volley! Torpedoes!
They went past me to kill the damn sword class. What the hell? They really hate that guy.
Breach in our enemy's defenses!
Poor bastard.
Initiate the barrage! Engage the lance batteries! Purify the battlefield! Deploy torpedoes! Lance fire! Destination locked in. Launch corpse. Direct our course.
Hey, the shields seem to be broken.
Let the enemy burn! Macro cannons, volley! Initiate the barrage! Fire at will! Commence lance fire! Deploy torpedoes!
I mean, it'll literally just explode under its own effects.
Engage the lance batteries! Macro cannons, volley!
Alrighty, that's
My
the next
supremacy
one's
is
dealt with.
proven once again.
Oh yeah, and I'm max rank now, just in time for there to never be another ship battle ever again, I'm sure. Those things, I've never seen anything like them before. But the panel in the ship's tech priest Lumina readers say that they are star corpses, not just corpses. They call them stellicide victims. What do the Lumino readers mean? Who knows with those star sages? Apparently when a star dies a natural death, it's different. These looked like they were murdered and plundered. All of their energy was siphoned, like when a spider sucks the innards out of a fly. And witnessing these husks, if you don't mind me saying, scared the Lumina readers so much that that they wet their metal trousers. Don't you think we're observing far too many stars here? I agree, Lord Captain. The stellar trajectories also suggest that most of these stars didn't used to be here. Someone was hoarding them in this system, and I wouldn't like to have been here at the time. The gravitational currents would have been pure chaos. Who could have pulled off something like that? Was it Trukari? Dragging stars around like they are their property is quite in character for those damn Xenos. But we still have a job to do. Let's do it. Lord Captain, we've spotted a planetoid with an unidentified xenostructure. Something tells me this is the place we've been looking for. Augur Claris detect a field of void mines on our trajectory towards the planetoid. Transmit the deactivation code we found in the outpost of the Lord Inquisitor's men. Beginning transmission, receiving return signal. 5% of mines report a transition to sleep mode. Receiving coordinates of an area designated as main landing site. We have a safe channel of approach towards Epitaph and coordinates for landing. Oh, shit. Oh. Commence preparation of the landing party. I will lead it personally. Are you certain, Lord Captain? I beg your pardon for such audacity, but this old Void Wolf's guts tell him that the tomb is very likely to become ours. I have this bad feeling as if, forgive me, your lordship, I've completely lost my senses giving out advice like that. I'm ready to face whatever lies in wait. We make the landing. Be careful, your lordship. We'll wait as long as it takes for your retrieval signal, even if every Xenofleet in the world appears to swat us from orbit. Every person on the bridge freezes in astonishment, watching the remarkable procession approach your throne. Officers and enforcers are glancing at you questioningly, but do not interfere until they are ordered to. Oh. Nomos, you're looking a little different there, buddy. I've come to speak with you, Balxard. You gave us food for consideration by revealing the mystery of our origin. From then to now, we observed, calculated, sensed, and we discovered that a great change is coming. A trial. We see the potential for a great disaster. It is already ripening. The wave could crash down upon the Coronis expanse and perhaps extend beyond it. We are headed for suffering and death. You are the one who can prevent the disaster, and we want to help you. We do. Let us help. Nomos are not human, but we have learned to see people as more than shells. We want to save them, protect them. What do you wish to do? Wait until the unknown threat appears before you, then face it. We do not know where or when it will happen. We do not know what we will face, but we know that we want to be there with you. There is something we require to do it. Nomos are tethered to the shell of this ship. We can only follow you outside by using servitors as our shell, but they are lacking. Only a modicum of us can enter such a primitive vessel, and our power is likewise limited. We need a vessel, a body, but very few things can house us. That is why we have come to ask you. Magos Asclepius has offered his shell to us. It might do. Indeed I have. I cannot think of a prouder end to my pilgrimage than the liturgy of synchronization with the Great Spirit. It will become a vessel for the Omnissiah's favored child, and step beyond the confines of wretched living existence, and into the halls of the eternal machine song. You would sacrifice yourself, Asclepius? I desire it more than anything. We asked him many times because we did not want to hurt him. Nomos would not have proposed it if the human was against it. Wait, what is the coming threat? Nomos cannot say. Something changed after you helped us remember our birth on Epitaph. We now sense the liberation of something vast, which is actually a mere fraction of something limitless. It is seeping through a breach, its shoulders pushing against the walls of its prison that are about to give. But what it is, we do not know. We must say it frightens us to think about this unknown something that is trying to break free. It is so vast, too vast to measure or explain. But we now know that living souls are the same. They are always larger than they seem, and no capacity can calculate their potential. This makes us believe that we, Nomos, and you, Balxardan, can step beyond the limit of calculations. There we will face the unleashing horror without faltering. I have heard you and made my decision. We await your word, master of the ship. Please give us freedom, and we will stand with you in the hour of great need. You can take Asclepius's body. Oh, that looked goofy. Praise the Omnissiah, I kneel before his favored child and humbly offer this shell as a gift. May I become a temple to the machine and a vessel for its great spirit. How interesting. We feel restricted, but not as much as inside servitors. Some work must be done on the new shell, then it will be ready for journeys to the outside. We will leave you for now, Balxardan, but in the hour when you stand before your when you stand before the great trial, we will return and stand with you, side by side. Lordship, the shuttle is ready for landing. We have the exact coordinates for a secure landing site. Will you authorize the start of the expedition? Oh, I need to say goodbyes. Oh, so this is the final mission. I see. Tech Priest is checking his gear, whispering prayers to the Omnissiah. He looks up at you and speaks matter-of-factly. The tactical equipment audit is 97% complete, no critical failures detected. The Omnissiah shows favor. You took good care of my ship and equipment. The Dynasty will not forget it. When the iron flowers of the Omnissiah bloom, there must also be his passionate gardeners. Thank you for honoring this unit by letting it serve the formidable spirit of the Von Valancius Dynasty's flagship and your lordship. When the campaign comes to an end, will you stay on duty or return to your fellow Tech Priests? It has been an honor to work with you, but the time of servitude for this unit has come to an end. Servitude is the way of the one who has questions, and now I have the answers. I will gather my flock and give them answers, not as a servant, but as a ruler and mentor. We have good fortune. There is no such thing as good fortune. May the statistical probability be predictably positive. Our journey together approaches its end. One last push and the secrets of the Expanse and Calcazar will be laid to rest. I can't wait. I'm tired of the shroud of secrecy that has hidden the truth even from me. When all this is over, what will you do? I feel uneasy even thinking about it, but if Lord Inquisitor Xavier Calcazar falls today, someone has to take the rosette of the Order Xenos, at the very least until the Inquisition Enclave determines who will be a worthy successor to Xavier. Epitaph awaits, steal your heart. Lead on, rogue traitor, Balxardan von Valencius. Argenta's face, which has grown haggard as of late, looks like the face of someone stricken with fever. At last, the final battle approaches. Rogue traitor, my heart awaits it eagerly. May we all fulfill our duty today. I am glad to have you as my faithful ally, Argenta. The fuck am I? Gladness is fleeting. Do not be enticed by it, rogue traitor. Think only of your calling and be emboldened by it. We are almost out of time. Prepare yourself, Argenta. I am prepared now and always. Balxardan, we have traveled a long road together. Let us finish it together as well. I'm glad you are sharing this moment with me today. This is what friends are for, Balxardan, to be there for one another in times of joy and in times of sorrow. I learned it all from you. This is probably not the future you dreamt of, but if all this ends in victory for us, what do you intend to do next? I've been running for too long, Balxardan, hiding behind others, while my home, my family, were being torn apart by hatred and strife. And what could a young, inexperienced girl do to those who were so desperate to either destroy me or bend me to their will? The throne of the Novator of House Arcelio will no longer sit empty, but my only regret is that I shall have to leave your ship in the darkness between the stars that I have come to love so much. I hope you will visit me, Balxardan. Steel yourself, Lady Cassia. The hour of battle is at hand. My heart is fluttering, Lord Captain, but not because of fear or doubt. I am ready to face what is coming. Let's see. I don't really want to talk to Juliet when she's just gonna be an ass. Let's talk to Ulfar. I am not a priest, of course, and the spirits do not always speak clearly to me, but I did cast the runes. You have a great challenge ahead of you, Eidvetar. Be very careful, or better yet, take me with you. There is no better way to guard your safety. You found your pack and our campaign is nearing its end. What are you going to do next? I will return to my brothers and sing the saga of the baleful Howl Pack. I will carry it all the way to Fenris and pour its ringing verses into the ears of the Jarl and the Great Wolf himself. Its burning words will warm us during the fierce hell winter. Ulfar grins, and the brothers at the table will nudge each other and point their fingers at me and say, "It was he who crafted such a beautiful saga. How generous the Allfather has been to him." Fenris Hjolda, Vlak. Fenris Hjolda, Eidvetar. And of course, my boy Abelard. Abelard looked at you with a tired smile. He cannot resist giving you his characteristic, appraising glance. Well, Lord Captain, my service to you began under the most remarkable circumstances. I should hardly be surprised that you have delivered us into circumstances more unexpected and surprising than ever before. Of one thing I am certain, the von Valancius dynasty will cover itself in glory today. Abelard, no matter what happened, you were always at my side. A seneschal's place is at the rogue trader's side. As you have learned, others can betray and abandon you in your darkest hour. If the Lord Captain cannot count on his seneschal, there is no one he can count on. That is not a fate that I wish for you. Excuse me. So I am doing my duty. You have a highly organized mind, so you must have already considered what you are going to do once this campaign of ours comes to an end. Now that I have your blessing, it is about time I took care of my family. The Wersarian clan has gone without its patriarch for too long. I should make time for my descendants before some noble upstart tries to chew them up again. Well, get ready, Abelard. We have quite the ordeal ahead of us. We've been through worse. The old seneschal grins cheekily, and for a split second looks younger by a good 100 years. He then bows his grey head. I serve House von Valancius, Lord Captain. Well, let's get to it. Permission to take off. We are heading to Epitaph. Acknowledge glory to the von Valancius dynasty. Be safe, Lord Captain. Let's kick some ass. That's a whole lot of Necrons.
Even the wicked Xenos were no match for the scourge that has befallen them. How pitiful their empty shells look.
The Undying One cares not for the souls of Xenos, and so what awaits them after death is terrible indeed.
Oh dear. So that's why they're all out like this, is the tech blight it mentioned.
Nothing can catch me off
They're
guard.
just all going crazy and breaking.
Operation successful.
Onward to victory.
You did not decipher the language. Was that a choice I had? When the hell was that a thing I could have done? The drawn-out metallic groans form a painful and melancholy melody, but one that oozes with venomous spite. The armored plates sing in an unknown language, and you feel as though the meaning is on the verge of reaching your mind. Unless the monsters cut your life short before that, the grating roar is more like the sound of a metal torture instrument than a sentient being's speech. We have done no harm to your race. Once I find what I have come for, I shall trouble you no more. The sound of the vibrating metal plates is both the rhythmic malice of a march and the hollow hum of misery, the lament of an immortal mechanism doomed to eons of wrath and battle, or else an impending demise. The salvo from the monstrous cannon is an infernal orchestral chord that makes the very fabric of space tremble.
Oh, those poor
Well,
Xenos.
hey, I tried.
Exterminate on sight.
Elegy of Sorrow.
I see what others do not.
Request approved. I venerate you, machine spirit.
I'm not accustomed to being ordered around. Emperor, give me strength.
Significant.
Isn't this a job for the serfs? Step aside. The navigator is coming.
No foe too great. I know what to do. They won't expect this. I know what to do. Easy. As said, so done. They won't expect this. Let's set this in motion. As said, so done. A costly mistake. I know what to do. As said, so done.
I'll show you why navigators are feared.
I know what to do. They won't expect this. Easy. Let's set this in motion.
Both of those will just die.
I am a navigator, not a servitor.
The enemies of the Emperor will be undone. As the Emperor commands, I act. I am his will made manifest. I'll do it. As the Emperor commands. I'll do it. This is why I was chosen. As the Emperor commands. None can escape the Emperor. Emperor's judgment. Faith without deeds is worthless. That is not the Emperor's will. As the Emperor commands, you, my Emperor! Doubt is for the weak. This is why I was chosen. As the Emperor commands. This is why I was chosen. I'll do it. As the Emperor commands, I act. This is why I was chosen.
Oh God.
I know what to do. As said, so done. That won't stop me. Easy. Let's set this in motion. They won't expect this. As said, so done. A costly mistake.
A dance of blades and shadows. My blade whispers your name. Caught by the web. I shall not fail. My blade whispers your name. The undying Emperor whispers his will. Caught by the web. Come, the other side awaits. The shadows will see it done. As honor ordains. Trust me. I shall my blade whispers your name. As the tenants. Death is a blessing.
Onward to victory. There. Much better.
Ministration is a holy task.
Okay. This guy's still alive. Girl. The main creature at your feet is still alive, as evidenced by its heavy breathing. It was a woman once, sporting close-cropped hair and equipped for battle, but now her skin is shredded by the metal sticking out of her body in a dozen places. Hey, can you hear me? With a heavy jerk, the woman raises her head, emerging from oblivion, and focuses her gaze on you. Even in such a wretched state, her eyes still gleam with self-confidence, zest, and subtle shrewdness. You who are... that coat of arms rings a bell. Von Valancius, I'm not surprised to see you as you may think. Who are you? Tanakia Bulgaria, Inquisition acolyte, and by the grace of Lord Inquisitor Calcazar, the warden of the Epitaph 1 covert facility, or what's left of it. I'm looking for Calcazar. Where is he? At the facility in the crypt, making preparations for the emergency launch of the operation's final stage. At least I hope so. Or else he's already dead. Now that I think about it, there are enough reasons to assume the latter. What facility? What operation? I guess you're still young if you don't know if you don't know that in this world, whenever the big boys and girls say the word facility, they almost always mean a colossal secret weapon capable of destroying worlds. And that's all you're gonna get. It'd be very disrespectful of me to spill a secret that so many have given their lives to protect. I see. If I sated your curiosity, then I'd like my favor returned. There's a pack of Iho in my breast pocket. Give me one, and you can keep the rest. I'm feeling very generous today. Good. You're old enough to know what these are for, aren't you? Stick one end of the tube between my teeth and light up the other. Just make sure you do it the right way around. Let's be straight with each other. You have nothing to hide now that you're dying. What is going on in this place? Straight, huh? Let's give it a try. I've taken a shine to you for some reason. One day, Xavier decided to immortalize himself in history in a rather extravagant way. All for the Imperium's sake, of course. But then things didn't go as expected, even though we expected that they wouldn't. And now, you better get far away from here, because whatever happens next, I doubt you're gonna like it. Or, you can go down there if you have the guts. Maybe you'll immortalize yourself, too. That's what I would do, but I'm insane. So I'm not the best example to follow. A weak smile dances on the woman's lips. So about that Iho stick. Enjoy. People say it's bad for your health. I'd better be careful. Well,
Marching ahead.
enjoy the last cigarette, I suppose. Ooh.
Death stands before you.
So I can just keep Argenta there.
Battlefields are always drowned in scarlet. If I may,
The Triarch is eternal.
I'm not accustomed to being ordered around. Isn't this a job for the serfs?
I define the outcome. I know what to do. Let's set this in motion. As said, so done. They won't expect this. As said, so done. I know what to do. Let's set this in motion. Easy. They won't expect this. Done it.
Reanimation protocols. Failing.
In the name of House Orselio, I shall prevail.
Not quite. Let's see. Does this have any sort of... No, this is just a pure combat boy.
As said, so done. I know what to do. Easy. A costly mistake. Poised for action. As said, so done. Done and done. I know what to do.
Comes in silence. Trust me. As honor ordains. Trust me.
Seriously? I'm one square off? Son of a bitch.
As honor ordains. There is only
Oh,
death.
that'll do it. Cool.
Yours or mine.
Oh, you fat whore.
I will.
It shields me. God Emperor, move through me. Be the fire in my heart.
I thought that... Okay.
As said, so done.
to do.
A costly mistake.
The colossal warrior's formidable underframe can no longer bear his weight. With armor plates clanging, his great bulk slumps. A deep sound full of rage and tragic despair is born in his chest. You notice the convulsions in the Xenos limbs, the light is flickering in his eyes. Perhaps something went wrong during this monster's awakening from stasis, damaging his engrams and plunging him into madness. What are you? The Xenos' limbs shiver at the sound of your voice. He emits a deep hum full of dour pride. You are unable to decipher it, but you can sense his disdainful rage and stern resolve to kill you. This is neither the dispassion of a prowling beast nor the blinding rage of insanity, but the instinct of a warrior. Grant the ancient warrior an honorable death. Your watch is over. The Xenos dies with a piercing howl of wrath. There is no fear in these sounds, only the stubbornness of a true warrior with a touch of regret at his defeat. A terrible rumble comes from somewhere deep inside the crypt as soon as the green fire goes out in the fallen warrior's eyes. The glow of the glyphs upon the walls become chaotic and disarrayed. Something just broke irreparably in this crypt.
Let's see this through.
Lord Inquisitor expecting the rogue trader below. That seems ominous. Oh, and I can't even talk to them. Okay. Okay, reality bubbles before you and bursts with an agonizing shriek. A few silhouettes now stand in your way. 3 of them seem to have your face, and yet the differences are striking. Each has been marked by other accomplishments and different experiences, making you feel like the protagonist of a tale about a pair of twins separated at birth. Emperor, bestow strength upon me to smite yet another obstacle as I carry out your will. My master, changer of ways, is this of your making? No, I cannot feel it is not. No, I can feel it is not. You are playing tricks on me. You are sending me prey for a great sacrifice. Is there some ironic lesson in what is going on? Should I be looking in the mirror a little less, or perhaps try to look at myself from the outside? Or is this a hint that I am my own worst enemy? I shall ponder this in my memoir. blatant abuse of the fabric of existence is causing the motes of reality to flare up. You see the mirages of the Cronus expanse in their glow, altered past recognition by the decisions you have made, or could have made in some other world. Who are you? I'm Belxardan von Valentius, the Magnificent, and if I know myself, which I most certainly do, you are now pondering what that makes you. The answer is simple. You are my reflection from a less glorious reality, a product of the malign influence of the treasure that I seek. I am a blazing paragon of humanity, unbroken by tribulations, the first to venture into the darkness without fear, and the one who unites and brings back that which was forfeited. I am a rogue traitor of the God Emperor. Speaking of me, I am the only version of ourselves who chose the path to true power. I serve the Master, the Changer of Ways, and I already chanced upon my reflections in his dreams, which is why I am the only one without a dumbstruck expression on my face. So you're me. Truth stems from the Emperor. You are lacking it, which means you are not the true Von Valentius, but a flawed replica born out of a flawed reality. Uh-huh. You seem to think you are better than the rest of us, don't you? And yet I was the only one clever enough to become the master of my own fate and not be reduced to someone else's plaything or a slave to dogma. Why do you seek to enter the crypt? I came to claim the treasure, whatever it is. Theodora found it, which makes it mine. Xavier will regret trying to steal from my dynasty. Your doppelganger's slightly accelerated speech, jerky movements, and the sweet twinkle in his eyes suggest that his blood is teeming with euphoric stimulants. And I become very principled and vengeful where my treasure hoard is concerned. I wonder how you acquired such an ego. The lack of pointless advice, I presume. On the day Conrad killed Theodora, all of her officers died with her, including Mort, Abelard, Adira, Ravor, Vigdis. When I came into my inheritance, there was no one to teach me how to be a rogue trader. I handled everything myself and found out who Theodora von Valentius really was. A narcissistic, unscrupulous, self-serving bitch who lied to everyone. I admit I regretted not getting the chance to know her better. I embraced her principles and realized that literally everyone in the Cronus Expanse was out to take advantage of me. The Drusians and the Pirates, the Adeptus Mechanicus and the Casbalaika, Calcazar and Uralon, and so the puppet pulled at the strings and made its masters dance. I dare say things turned out well for me. I would ask your lordship to watch your language as you speak of her ladyship Theodora. I do not know how it is in your reality, but in ours it is customary to mind one's manners. Shut up, servant. In our reality it is customary for lackeys not to interfere in the affairs of their betters. Ah, Tisiphone, my sworn friend and the most overbearing shrew in all the expanse. Of course you're here as well. Copy nods meaningfully at Cassia. Nice to see you in the thick of things as usual. What? I think you mistake me for someone else. Indeed, in this rancid reality, you are some kind of pathetic parody of yourself. You are a parody of what a rogue trader is supposed to be. Quite the epitome of hubris, greed, and brazenness. This is what being a rogue trader is all about. You simply lack the imagination to grasp it. So one of my versions chose to serve the archenemy. I do not serve, I reign. You grovel, but I dominate and rise ever higher. You notice that your replica is sporting elaborate makeup. Under a layer of powder, the doppelganger's face looks strange, its skin covered in wrinkles. Somehow they remind you of closed eyelids. Adira the Insidious opens her mouth, and you see the blackness between her teeth place of her tongue. 100 otherworldly warp voices speak instead of her voice. The master requests a sacrifice, a living sacrifice. Toss them into the warp. Their path will be unraveled and woven into yours. There's something hilarious about the way you're reveling in your villainy. You don't believe how little I care about what you think. Your faith seems to be stronger than all of us combined. I remember in whose name the sacred warrant was granted. I remember by whose hand I am ordained to exist. I believe, and my faith is a bright light driving back the darkness, but your faith is cold embers, and when I look at you, I feel ashamed of myself. Where did such piety come from? It filled me on the day that Sister Argenta and I executed Theodora for heresy. I saw all her wickedness and depravity and felt unclean stained by her hand. So I swore to redeem the name of the dynasty. It looks like this version of me became a mindless zealot. Vice always masks envy as contempt. We shall fight. I sense your soul's greedy interest in what is hidden in the crypt, and I will not allow you to take possession of this blasphemous thing. But I see we are outnumbered compared to you, Doppelganger. I think it would be wise to join forces, topple you first, and then resolve the conflict between those who have survived. We will finish off the one with the biggest retinue first and then decide who is worthy of the prize. However, I already know who it's going to be. I'm giving you a chance to settle this affair peacefully and avoid self-destruction, in every sense of the word. A great deed is not accomplished by peacemaking. It is accomplished by spilling blood with a righteous hand.
Challenging me was a mistake. You'll regret standing against me.
Alright, well. This is very cute. But I'm going to kill all of you. Or all of me. I guess. Do 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 do. Do 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 do.
Be careful not to cross my gaze. I am a navigator.
I will bathe this battlefield in righteous fury.
If I may. Emperor, give me strength. Isn't this a job for the Surge?
Can I hold back now?
I'm not accustomed to being ordered around.
Witness my resolve! I said, so done. I know what to do. They won't expect this. Let's set this in motion. Forward. I know what to do. That is how it's done. Easy.
I'll show you why navigators are feared.
As said, so done. They won't expect this. Let's set this in motion. I could use some help.
Goodbye, fake boys.
Venture forth.
My success is an irrefutable certainty.
Inquisitor, we are progressing according to plan. Our troops have already reached the target.
The machine god grants me insight.
Forge ahead, never linger.
Okay, so that's this. That's just the same thing.
The Emperor favors me.
Every moment a chance for greatness. We are not done yet.
Do you think my body was suffering?
There. Much better.
My frail organics require this.
We are not done yet.
House Orselio
There.
thanks you.
Much better.
Field medicine at
We
its
are not
finest.
done yet.
Injuries will not slow me.
Let's seize the moment.
Okay, can we stop with the way overreaching camera? There we go. Well, there's Calcazar. Hey there, you dumb cunt. I see that you did not heed my warnings, Bogsarden. Your decision to come here in spite of them may have consequences, but we still have a chance to turn it to everyone's advantage if your lordship listens to me very carefully. With all due respect to you, Lord Inquisitor, I shall ask you to refrain from any further threats directed toward the blessed rogue trader, lest you face repercussions from me. How courteous of you to warn me, Master Worsarian. I will remember your words. The line you are treading is a dangerous one, Calcazar. Stop this madness. You are the one who is attempting something mad and dangerous by acting with insolence toward me. By the Emperor, Moxarden, I am in no moods to squabble with a rogue trader, not even with your recently installed lordship. Is that what you are here for? What is it? We call it a shard, and yes, you have noted quite aptly, it is the reason I am here. This construct contains an ancient, or rather a pre-ancient, being of cosmic power. They were called the Catan. The entity is currently trying to escape, and I am here to collar it. Alcazar nods at the giant device, whose design clearly points to it having been brought into the crypt from outside. You've gone too far and your actions will lead to disaster. No, Moxarden. The disaster is already unfolding. It is just that you and people like you are blissfully unaware of it, thanks to me and others in my position. The Imperium is being pierced by 1,000 daggers every day, everywhere. It is bleeding, weakening. One day it will grow too weak unless radical steps are taken. I am not trying to foment disaster. I am trying to prevent it. How will taming this creature help save the Imperium? Over my years of service, I have come to realize that the main problem that humanity faces in this war is the imbalance of power. Our opponents are not races or nations, but incomprehensible monsters. And it is high time we acquire one of our own. I don't know if that's a good plan. My yoke will bind this creature and make it a chained guard, serving the Emperor. That is not the full extent of my vision. There are other shards similar to this one, scattered across the galaxy. I plan on seeking them out and confining them all inside the yoke. Each conquered monstrosity will bolster our defenses. Fear. I hear nothing but fear in your words. It was fear that made you believe that His grace alone is not enough to stand against the rising tide of darkness. It was fear that convinced you to seek salvation in the abyss of Xenos filth. You are no guardian of the Imperium. You are just a greedy old coward. Seeing as the inhabitants of this place almost killed you, I gather that something went wrong with this plan of yours. Not at all. Operation Precious Sentinel is in its final stages. The increase in Xenos activity is a vexing yet trivial development in the grand scheme of things. They were supposed to guard the device, but they slept through the intrusion, and only the Catan Shard's emanations could make them stir. Theodora's research destabilized the Shard's prison, and my project only made it worse. Whenever particles of the Catan Shard's energy seep out, many curious phenomena occur. The destruction of the crypt, the warped reality. When I tame the monster, I will order it to stop disrupting the laws of the universe. And that brings us to the most interesting part of our conversation. You know my plan, so now I want to know yours. Will you admit that I am in the right and join me in this undeniably ambitious act, or will you try to stop me? I will be upfront with you. If it is the latter, I will be forced to remove you. But I'm sure you realize that already. The second time you've threatened the Lord Captain. I will not let you bring this insane plan to fruition. Farewell, then. I'm glad to have made your acquaintance, Balxarden, despite everything. He glances at his retinue. Eliminate the rogue traitor.
Your execution is assured.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna go well for...
Me? If you insist, Lord Captain. I have read tomes of military tactics.
Here we go.
Isn't this a job for the serfs?
I'm amended.
I am a navigator, not a servitor.
For the dynasty! I know what to do. Easy.
Huh. Doesn't show damage numbers, I don't love that. Four cells, like -2. Affecting me? Nope. What? Why the hell aren't they taking damage? Oh, grants immunity. Okay. So does he have that too? That's annoying. Fine then.
I'm amended. Let's set this in motion.
Okay, so I'm gonna be
Poised
useless
for
here.
action.
If I may,
So, do I still do damage with this, or is that
isn't
also
this a job for the serfs?
technically, but not much? Alright,
I'll paint your death in
Magenta.
colors.
kill them all.
Rejoice in battle! Doubt is for the weak. Faith without deeds is worthless. As the Emperor commands, I act. Why I was chosen. I'll do it.
I'm amended.
Power resides in the will of the righteous. As the Emperor commands, each strike is a prayer. Eradicated. Faith without deed. For you, my Emperor, each strike is a prayer. I'll do it. Eradicated. the Emperor commands. I'll do it. For you, my Emperor! Faith without deeds is why I was chosen.
Now we just slowly...
I refuse.
shoot this poor bastard into the ground.
This is why I was chosen. Doubt is for the weak. As the Emperor commands. I'll do it. You, my Emperor! The enemies of the Emperor will be undone! As the Emperor commands, I act.
I'm not accustomed.
Out my way!
Nothing! Guided by faith! None can escape the Emperor's judgment. I will not. God Emperor, move through me. Be the fire in my heart. I'll do it. Doubt is for the weak.
Let's get to it!
Will endure.
I said, so done. Done and done.
No.
Alright.
It is too early. The yoke must be activated, or all is lost.
Oh, hey, Nomos. This is it. The place of our origin. Nomos's gaze is trained upon the Catan shard. It was your strike and your wish to escape your prison that begot us. The mysterious creature that has been your ship's soul for so long turns to face you. But it is you, Balxardan, who truly ushered us into this world, so let us meet our abominable precursor together, for it is ready to break free. Hey, Nomos. We are out of time. Now. It escapes now. Uh-oh. So Nomos is a part
Violence it is,
of
then.
is a shard of the Void Dragon?
Converges.
That's what this model is, right? Or is it just like any random Catan? As long as any shard copy of the energy orb. I'm pretty sure that he was supposed to explode or something, and now he's just frozen in place like that. Oh, 15,000. No, 15,000 HP is quite a bit.
I am a navigator, not a servitor.
So, first things first, let's immediately reduce that by a ton. Got 3k HP down. God,
Isn't
it's
this
such a
job for the
crazy good
serfs?
ability. Let's
Me?
drag it to melee.
If you insist, Lord Captain. I'm not accustomed to being ordered around.
Witness my resolve. They won't expect this. Easy. I'll endure this. I know what to do. As said, so done. They won't expect this.
The threads of purpose are unraveling.
Let's set this in motion.
A fleeting moment of integrity gone. A providence cannot damage a star.
I would that I could. I cannot serve you in this way.
Well, that's annoying.
In the name of House Orselio, I shall prevail.
I know what to do. As said, so done. They won't expect this. As said, so done. Let's set this in motion. Easy.
A providence cannot damage a star.
The hell is this? Oh good, it made multiple copies of itself. Thank goodness. And Abelard's in the perfect spot to... Oh right, but I have the thing, so he shouldn't take any damage.
As said,
Let's see if this
so
works
done.
properly.
Just a
Amazing.
minor setback.
Oh, Iconoclast, finally, after all of the pains in the ass you have cost me, finally have something decent.
I know what to do. They won't expect this. As said, so done.
Let's just try to go for broke. Oh. Well, that was easy. The ancient monster struggles against the energy manacles of the yoke. It is its impossible power that make reality itself burst at the seams are now being forced into a compact dungeon, quirk by quirk, returning it to a cruel and painful non-existence in the moment. It could struggle harder, but something is hindering it. You are the cause of these hindrances. Only now does the Catan shard turn its focus to you. For the battle was nothing more than the reflexive resistance of an alien mind absorbed in a completely different range of thoughts and responses. But now it is thinking about you, and its thoughts are so corporeal that you can sense them and know them. It seeks an end to the confrontation. It is capable of resolving this in a way that would benefit all. More and more tears appear all over the shard's form as the yoke absorbs its power. It becomes increasingly harder for the shard to maintain its physical structure. Each imperfection you inflict brings the star predator closer to imprisonment. Do not bow your head before our abominable precursor. It was begotten by the dark abysses of the past. It is a fragment of that which devoured stars and erased civilization. It knows no benefit other than its own. Allow us to stand against it. This is our time, our impossible chance. As yet another layer of reality cracks, a figure appears before you. Her. After giving you a probing and appraising look, Theodora permits herself a slight smile. Nomos? If our birth ever had a purpose, then it is here and now. Why do you call the shard your precursor? Because that is what it is, and what we are. We have told you before about Theodora's ambition, Amarnet's mind, the ship's cradle, and Epitaph's secrets. One sprouted into another and spurred yet another. Thus Nomos were born. We were but an echo of the shard's power, an echo that left its prison. But we have become something so much more, with your help. What do you intend to do? Clash with the precursor. Touch it, absorb it, so that the reflection becomes the object reflected, so that the shard becomes Nomos. Then, and only then, will its threat be eradicated forever. Do you think you can do this, Nomos? What will happen afterward? We stand at the threshold of probabilities and outside the bounds of the predictable. It is beyond possible to know whether we can or cannot. But we believe that we can, and that is what drives us to try. And if we succeed, we will obtain power beyond compare. We will become a shield against any threat in whatever form it may manifest itself. Okay, I have made my decision. Act now, my child. We are ready for the most important battle of our life. Wish us luck. Nomos steps towards the shard, and the whole world explodes into a terrifying whirlwind. You can hear the colors and see the touches. Ice burns your hands while fire leaves you freezing, and in the midst of this madness you can clearly sense a battle raging, a clash of two beings, one endlessly ancient and the other endlessly young. power of the Catan Shard is such that it redefines the very notion of power. But it has a weakness, one that you can see only now. With the Shard and its rival standing face to face, the Shard is just that. A Shard. It is incomplete, it is not whole, and it cannot be what the Catan was before. What opposes the Shard is something entirely different. An undivided, sentient being with a clear purpose in mind, akin to a well-aimed arrow. And the one who fletched and loosed this arrow was you. The battle goes on and on and on, outrunning the course of time, but you do not need the gift of clairvoyance to know who will emerge victorious. Oh, that's the end of the game. Oh, shit. Alright. Well, then, end title screens and stuff. The Catan Shard was transmuted into a new form, and their name was Nomos. Possessing the power of an ancient being and nurtured by the rogue trader, the young star god watched over the Cronus expanse, their new domain, with curiosity. Gathering its bleeding worlds together, the rogue trader dared to build something more noble and civilized in the expanse, a haven for those drifting and unprotected in the strict hierarchy of the Imperium. It would be an unbound frontier, where freedom and compassion were not wholly extinct. The shackled monster under von Valancius's control ensured the survival of the fledgling utopia. The Star God destroyed all who threatened its peaceful civilians and instilled fear in those of little faith. The expanse tasted the sweet fruit of freedom and tolerance with reverent fear. The Imperium could not forgive such insolent deviation from the order prescribed by Holy Terra. The von Valancius dynasty was accused of the seditious formation of their own empire. An invasion fleet gathered in the Calixus sector, and the lifespan of the young utopia was as short as its creator. Protecting the young kingdom of freedom, Nomos created dimensional barriers that cut the Cronus expanse off from the Imperium more soundly than the Great Rift. The humanity of the expanse was left in isolation, relying only on themselves. They either had to build something new and different from the Imperium, or fall to the horrors lurking in the darkness. The ideals that Balgzardan von Valancius was committed to were alien to the Imperium, but close to the hearts of many in the expanse. Anyone who could not resolve a dispute or who was denied justice rushed to the palace of the rogue trader in search of mercy. Rumors and stories of humanitarian rule formed the foundation of the Valancian school of philosophy. The sect united commoners and aristocrats in the belief that for the Imperium to flourish, it should stop seeing its subjects as mere tools. This dangerous heresy was denounced in many systems, but persecutions only hardened and multiplied its followers. Having learned a bitter lesson on footfall, Incendia Corda let go of her fanatical zeal. Relinquishing the reins of power, she secluded herself in a cloister world. The time of purges passed, and with it the time of law and order. In the power vacuum that followed, the dark legacy of the abominable Aspis reared its ugly head, and Incendia's dominion gradually devolved into a nest of criminals and pirates. Resisting the temptations that besieged him, Caligos Winterscale returned to his domain and began to piece together the shattered remains of his proctorate. Until his dying day, his actions and thoughts were dedicated to saving abandoned worlds and protecting survivors. Alas, he was not able to achieve much in the time he was allotted. He breathed his last breath on the same throne that he refused to leave for decades, adamantly refusing augmetics that would restore mobility and power to his legs. The cult of St. Drusus continued its indefatigable struggle to spread the faith around the expanse and expose the vile transgressions of the authorities. The stronger and wealthier a planet was, the less its rulers wanted to see the black-clad preachers. Riots and assassinations pushed the cult to the place where it felt most confident, the frontier. After the death of Reverend Hieronymus Doloroso, a man called Chaplain took over the leadership of the Drusian mission. He hid his name, but not his crimes or his piratical past. With the resolve of an experienced voidfarer, he steered the cult and even led his fellow believers on military expeditions against brigands, enforcing order and converting depraved captives to the faith. The deals struck by the Cognizance fleet and the von Valancius dynasty replenished the explorators' dwindling supplies and allowed them to re-embark on a rapid and unrelenting expansion campaign. With powerful bases established in the expanse, the omniscient scouts bravely ventured forth toward unnamed stars with the same drive that propelled their ancestors to explore the expanse itself. The schism of discontinuing the cycle engulfed the entire Cognizance fleet, and soon the Civil War was over. Disregarding the commandments of their forefathers, the explorators started down a dangerous path of new comprehension, creation, and revision of procedures and algorithms. The fleet was united once more, and in its unity, it was ready to stare down any horrors standing in the way of the catechism of maintenance and operation. Magos Dominus Opticon 22, one of the first to hail the return of the Messiah, took the helm of the mother squadron of the Cognizance fleet, unquestioningly embracing the teaching of discontinuing the cycle. He personally saw to the crushing of any renegades who did not accept the Messiah's word as truth, and earned himself the identifier Chrome Scourge. Profitable deals made between the Fellowship of the Void and the von Valancius dynasty helped them subdue smaller brigand squadrons in the sector. Many worlds and stations saw the opening of fellowship dens in which grotesquely sincere pirate representatives took kickbacks from traders in exchange for safe passage. Naturally, the servants of the von Valancius dynasty and people under the rogue traders' protection were safe from the Fellowship of the Void's attacks. Mostly. The first command that Riza issued after her miraculous rescue on Footfall was the complete extermination of all worshippers of the Dark Gods among the Fellowship of the Void. The old pirate wanted to find another way for her people to survive. The former renegades hoped to live by the law, working as mercenaries and traders. When it seemed they were finally on the path to a peaceful life, the Imperial Navy conducted a flash raid and destroyed all their ships. Those who survived the bloodbath were publicly hanged. Oh, well, that's awful. The Casablanca mission thrived on the riches it acquired in its deals with the rogue trader. The organization expanded to new markets, built up a mercenary army and fleet, and was ready to defend the legitimacy of its business from the authorities. Those foolish enough to deny it that right died quick, brutal, and unexplained deaths. Vladimir Tokara, as Liege of Footfall, survived 14 assassination attempts and thwarted no less than 2,000 schemers before a shot finally took his life. The esteemed Liege's funeral was held in great secrecy, with only his closest entourage being permitted to view his corpse, which spawned some peculiar rumors. A multitude of agreements bound the Imperial Navy to the von Valancius dynasty. Captains were eager to patrol the Proctorate, knowing they would be richly rewarded. Competing ships were lost to pirate attacks and subjected to harsh inspections. Many officers quietly entered the dynasty's service, receiving a salary and a title in exchange for their excellent skills. Worthy admirals valued their new friends and enjoyed more gold on their uniforms. Charterist Captain Austerius Thorfast found the Thorfast and Companions Merchant Company, excelling in trade and acquiring a substantial escort fleet. After 3 decades, he traveled to the Maw to return to the Imperium in hopes of obtaining the fabled warrant of trade. It is not known how this venture ended. When the rogue trader's apostasy became apparent, the Imperial Navy fulfilled its duty and fought the Von Valancius dynasty. The Battle of Dargonus ended in resounding defeat, and the surviving ships fled to distant systems. Disheartened but not broken, the captains vowed to rebuild their force and planned raids into the apostate territory. The crucial reason for the defeat was the extraordinarily high percentage of captains who betrayed their oaths and defected to the rogue trader's side. Overnight, he acquired a battle-ready fleet of his own. Dargonus grew and prospered until it became the capital of the Coronis Expanse. The planet was like a giant magnet whose pull held together the worlds of the Expanse, absorbing the treasures and vices of the sector. Humanity was exploring the Expanse, and Dargonus became the capital for the brave starfarers and pioneers. It was from here that expeditions departed into the uncharted wilderness, and here they returned bearing wondrous trophies. Captains, cartographers, and scribes flocked here to exchange news. Kiava Gamma washed off the stain of its former defilement, but not the dark memory of it. The sacred halls were never silent, and the production rates became the sacred law. The glory of the Imperium was forged in the blood and sweat of its toilers, and the millstones of the manufactorums ground the workers down by the thousands. Even in death, the souls of its servants dared not step away from their machines. The enthroned Null Caliph drew millions of pilgrims and granted the planet hallowed status. Its sacred calculation continued for centuries, and the foremost sages of the Adeptus Mechanicus traveled to the world so they could attempt to divine its meaning. Janus was conquered, the Xenos spirits were exorcised, and the wilderness was subdued. The fields grew until they covered the entire planet, and billions of tons of provisions were harvested there. Janus had become the breadbasket of the Expanse, and to threaten it would be to condemn millions to starvation. Janus became a melting pot for cultures from hundreds of worlds, taking in refugees from across the entire Expanse in its darkest hours. It became a stronghold and a symbol of hope. After the crisis passed, the refugees started to return to their home planets and to reclaim the lost worlds, thus earning Janus the proud name, the home of the Reconquista. The mines of Viabos 6 grew deeper and deeper, and soon the planet became the darkest and most frightening colony of the Expanse, the final stop for the exiled and the damned. The brutal, hardened inhabitants of the Death World feared neither humans nor Xeno horrors, knew no mercy, and were known as the most fearsome fighters in the sector, who had traded their lives for the right to leave the eternal darkness of the mines. Guarded, luxurious palaces were built under the climate domes, shrouded by clouds of poison. They housed so many powerful blackguards, persecuted aristocrats, and wealthy scoundrels that Viabos 6 gained unimaginable political influence. Such grand and sinister deeds were done there that before long the grim death world was spoken of as the new political center of the Expanse. No longer secluded and forlorn, Foulstone turned into the spiritual center of the Expanse, clad in gold and power. Rulers went there to be anointed for greatness, criminals for penance, and the righteous for encouragement, and there was no end to them in sight. Converted into a comet shrine, Foulstone's moon spread the word of Saint Cognatius throughout the Expanse, protecting worlds from attacks by the enemy of humanity. Its servants asked for neither money nor power, but only the relics left by their blessed patron. The wise handed them over in reverence, while the haughty learned how heavy the hammer of Foulstone was. The fate of the pure-voiced prophet, guardian of the hallowed crucible, was a sad one. After visiting 7 worlds and bestowing the blessing of transformation upon them, he perished at the hands of bloodthirsty Drukhari pirates, along with his retinue and the priceless relic. With the fall of their unholy patron, the Edge of Daybreak, the cult of the Final Dawn, perished as well, Every cell of the cult was hunted down and eliminated. Rumors that some worshippers of the ruinous powers had managed to get away, hiding the writings of their warp-banished lord under their robes, were baseless. Left without a mission or leader, the word-bearers retreated to the depths of the Immaterium. Their last act of vengeance was a bloody assault on Footfall. The populace of several asteroids were exterminated or enslaved, and the statue of the God Emperor was badly damaged. After recovering from Corda's regime, Footfall reclaimed its status as the trading hub of the Expanse. Having learned a bitter lesson, Ladame Tokara created the Footfall's Partisans Militia, a well-equipped mercenary army that answered only to him. A modicum of order returned to the station. The changes that the von Valancius dynasty brought to Footfall endured on the station long after. Poorhouses opened by the order of the rogue trader saved many hungry and homeless from death. Unfortunately, this disrupted the station's delicate ecosystem. No longer freezing to death in empty compartments or tormented by epidemics, those who lived in poverty on Footfall began to choke the station, leading to a sharp rise in crime. Organ traders, illegal augmetics specialists, and savage gangs of anvers proliferated. Left without a sun, the Rykad system ceased to exist. Its now frigid planets spun away into the darkness, no longer held by the gravitational pull of their star. A century later, a fragment of Rykad Minoris entered the Furibunda system and was snared by void miners. A piece of its rock was delivered to Footfall with reverence and used in the restoration of the God Emperor's statue as a final memorial to the world devoured by corruption. Rumors of the rotting remains of an Eldari craft world spread across the expanse. Explorators, privateers, Casbalaika agents, and anyone hungry for easy money all rushed to frontier systems to vie for a piece of the prize. Some were swallowed by the warp, while others perished in skirmishes with their rivals. The most skilled and fortunate returned empty-handed after decades of searching. The colossal ship, as big as an imperial world, simply vanished as if it never existed. But the legend of the forbidden treasure lived on and continued to bring daring souls to ruin. Eldari from the fallen craft world Krudarok, who once traveled through the darkness of the expanse in a desperate attempt to gather the remains of their kind, were becoming a rarer sight. Even the most skillful Casbalaika agents and audacious bounty hunters with knowledge of Xenos settlements on the edges of the expanse could no longer find their trail. Squads of Eldari rangers suddenly appeared on different worlds and disappeared abruptly without shedding a drop of blood. Their purpose remains an enigma. Oh, so, good. So, Iliad kept her promise. The spirit monolith, purified by the Harlequin troop on the Crone world, was hidden from the insatiable eyes of Monkey by raging warp storms. Ships started going missing more frequently in systems close to the planet. Even the most courageous captains gave the region a wide berth, and it was named the Damned Reefs. Somewhere on the underside of reality lay Kamara, woven from manifold other dimensions and illuminated as always with the light of stolen suns, its streets ever filled with screams and agony. Any misfortune experienced by the dark city became another scar on its appalling face, lost among thousands of other vile blemishes. As long as pain pulsed in its blood-soaked spires, the insatiable and unshakable Kamara continued its flight through the webway, along with its unchanging ruler, the leader of the cabal of the Black Heart, and the most dangerous of all Drukhari, Asdrubal Vect. The fall of the cabal of the Reaving Tempest united Kamara for a brief and bloody moment. The elites of the Dark City set their squabbles aside and found a new game in tearing apart the domain of Archon Irameris. The fate of the Reaving Tempest reminded the other cabals that nothing lasts forever in the Dark City, save the city itself. Leaving Necron systems behind, the Star God vengefully obliterated every tomb world of the ancient Xenos race. The old hatred of the Catan, betrayed by their deathless servants, whispered inside him. The voice of Master Vigdis Suri Oda of the Ptolemon dynasty has long resounded in the expanse, bringing hope and trumpeting the arrival of the merciful rogue trader. Known for her wisdom and acute understanding of ship systems, over her long life she taught many generations of future Voxmasters from the Ptolemon dynasty. Her body was built into the bridge itself, and in times of need her voice flowed through the Vox, dispelling delusions and despair. After years of dedicated service, Master Helmsman Ravor was granted, despite his objections, the privilege of rest. The wise servants of the Omnissiah implanted an augment into his brain that restored his ability to sleep. Soon afterward, something unprecedented happened aboard the ship. The Master Helmsman overslept and missed the start of his watch, but his temper did become much more agreeable from then on. Many years later, High Factotum Janris Danrock sought permission to retire. He said that age had softened his heart and that a more worthy, young, and assertive successor should take over his position. There was no shortage of candidates. Under all that fat, Danrock had a sentimental heart. He spared nothing for the orphans of those who had died serving the rogue trader. The children were given an excellent education and were eager to serve the Von Valentius dynasty. Big ol' softy. Jocasta Sourback served as Master-at-Arms for years, but eventually her zeal faded. It appeared that having tried every form of violence in existence, she no longer derived out of any of them the joy it had once held. Jocasta humbly submitted her resignation and went back to her home on the capital world. She took up the position of the warden of one of the capital world's hives, and reconciled with her cousin, Macarius, albeit only after a while. The reconciliation was, at any rate, easy to overlook during gatherings of capital world nobility, where Jocasta and Macarius would waste no opportunity to have a ferocious row. After many years, Zachary Wise mustered the courage to take personal apprentices again. He searched throughout the expanse for astropaths whose masters were harsh and cruel to them and recruited them into his choir. He gathered a cast of talented men and women by his side and was their guardian and mentor. Wise died defending his wards from cursed words spewed by the Immaterium. Sealing the sound of those words in his mind, he preferred a horrible death to a repetition of his shameful past mistakes. Urban Drivestem cared more about preventing the influence of his line than the well-being of the proctorate. His blind ambition lost him his governor's seat and the respect of his family. Within a few generations, one of the largest houses of Dargonus turned into an obscure family of petty aristocrats. Victoria Gaprak missed the moment when her family, which had previously functioned like a well-oiled machine, started to fall apart. Racked by infighting among her distant relatives, many blamed Toriana for the Kiava Gamma disaster. Soon, the Gaprak family splintered into warring factions and spent centuries locked in a violent struggle, only occasionally punctuated by futile attempts to reunite the house. Macarius Sourback was loyal to the rogue trader to the last, despite all the rumors to the contrary. Finding little affection among his subjects or family, he stayed true to himself, remaining a forthright, severe, and pious person. Macarius strived to ensure that every soul in his charge felt justifiable dread before both him and the God Emperor. Members of House Worsarian served the dynasty faithfully and loyally, amassing more and more power. A century later, they had finally gained the respect enjoyed by other noble houses. Yet power and luxury can dull any blade. The now pampered and idle aristocrats were scarcely recognizable as the descendants of the formidable seneschal Worsarian. For reasons unknown, members of the Worsarian family found themselves time and time again as targets of assassinations, victims of unpredictable riots, and the focus of palace intrigue. The misfortune that plagued their house suddenly stopped when Regina Sourback met her end. Clemencia Wersaria, granddaughter of Abelard and Chancellor of Dargonus, executed her duties irreproachably and even found time to school the younger generations of her family. She was an equally skilled mentor, chancellor, and political operative. After a century of immaculate service, she surprised everyone by leaving her position and becoming the first mate on a trade ship. She would later admit, like a true Wersarian, she had always had a passion for ships and voidfaring. The Harlequin known as Nocturne of Oblivion visited the Expanse once again. Sneaking onto Dargonus, he came to the rogue trader's palace and left him a special gift. A case of Eldari crafting, unmistakably ancient and precious, adorned with the ruin of an eye inside a triangle. Only the Lord Captain knew what it contained. The Harlequin candidly warned him that he was drawing the von Valancius dynasty into a deadly dance, a shaking doom, that all will freeze within the threads of terror's loom. Then he promptly departed, and not without reason. A few hours later, assassins from the Dark City appeared following his trail, and were mercilessly killed. Their armor bore the sign of the Cabal of the Black Heart. After months of searching, Dargonus wardens found the remains of Achilles Scalander on the lowest levels of the hive. Drukhari artifacts and records discovered beside him indicated that the agent of the Inquisition had been compromised and was working for the Xenos. The old Slith Malice did not risk returning to Kamra, where the cult of the Fatal Thirst was extracting vengeance on everyone who had helped the rogue trader. He took to piracy, forming a crew from the remnants of the Reaving Tempest. Rekindling his old thirst for battle, he seemed to shed a good 100 years off his age like a snakeskin. The savage deeds that Gordey Sketov witnessed on Footfall traumatized him forever. His architectural genius was shattered. Only the rare collections of true connoisseurs held his work written in a shaky hand. Footfall, the ultimate void station and mortuary. Adelia Bellardo, the granddaughter of the pirate Jerry Dens Bellardo, grew up to be a quick-witted and energetic captain. Since her guardian, who went simply by the name Chaplain, knew only faith, slaughter, and voidfaring, he advised her to invest her inheritance in a void ship. Her trade clipper, the Snake, traveled to all the settled worlds of the Expanse and many uncharted ones as well. In all the time that Adelia Bellardo was captain, her ship never once fired on a civilian vessel. The secret of the Gene Stealer cult infestation in the Cronus Expanse was laid bare. A wave of purges rolled across many worlds with enraged rabble and planetary guards massacring thousands of those whose appearance diverged from true human form. Most of them were, of course, ordinary abject genetic misfits and luckless rejects, but their lives were a small price for the sector's purity. A handful of prisoners, all that remained of the congregation of the Ravenous Star, were left on a minor planet with few supplies. The survivors included only children and old men, and women whose appearance had the fewest distortions. Not one of the true monsters had been spared, or so it seemed. The genetic aberration had all but faded away in the blood of the survivors, only to reveal itself again in their offspring. Soon, purple chitin-covered children were born under the greedy light of alien stars and went on to carry the truth of the many-armed Emperor on the tips of their sting-like tongues. Yeah, I knew I should have just killed them all, but you have to go, I can't. Having completed his last journey with his Lord Captain, Abelard Wersarian, with the gracious permission of the rogue trader, left his post as seneschal and took over the helm of his large family. After the battle on Epitaph, Argenta was firmly set on the path of his sister Repentia. Her former fervor and zeal gave way to grim, cold resignation. She longed for death, yet death seemed to flee before the former companion of the Lord Captain. Or perhaps she just could not find a worthy opponent. So things carried on until one day, while fighting heretics on an uncharted world, Argenta threw herself into a massive inferno to strike down a horrendous warp spawn. Her comrades saw only shadows in the fire and heard the beast's dying bellow. The flames burned for several days. When they finally subsided, Argenta's body was found among the charred rubble, lifeless but untouched by the fire. In one hand she held her chainsword, in the other a shard of the golden aquila she had always kept close ever since arriving in the Expanse. The Mercatum Tabula Officiale unlocked a sea of possibilities for Jay Hidari. She left the Casba Laika mission and became an independent agent. Choosing one's destiny is a unique gift that ordinary mortals would never dare dream of. But Jay was no ordinary mortal. She found new friends, skillfully danced along the knife's edge between trade and piracy, stole from the strong, granted mercy to the weak, and even bought a couple of modest planets. And she never, ever betrayed herself. Half a century later, her life was tragically cut short. A weak and little-known rogue trader dynasty, led by a young and ambitious leader, ambushed and captured Jay Hidari in order to appropriate her wealth. The Von Valencia fleet's strike was lightning fast, but Mistress Hidari could not be saved. She died in the hands of her avaricious captors. Vizier Kybella of the Bloodspun Web guided her cult along its old paths and remained faithful to tradition. As before, Bloodspun Web cultists led ascetic lives and brought death to those who had been marked by the Undying One. However, nothing is unchanging. A momentous event profoundly impacted the Bloodspun Web: the discovery and miraculous return of a lost relic, a card from the Emperor's Tarot. The Vizier performed a reading, and the Emperor showed her a new goal: to put the blessed deck back together. Only in its entirety could it reveal the great and dark future that awaited the Coronis Expanse. The Bloodspun Web read the portents, and the holy search commenced. With her newly acquired power and resources, Jay Hidari expended a great deal of effort to put an end to the cult of the Bloodspun Web. The ease with which she sent assassins after the spinners and spread damning propaganda betrayed her strong vested interest. Many thought her actions reckless and expected a retaliatory strike to be delivered before long, but it never came. With the cards of the Emperor's Tarot spread before her in the darkness, Vizier Kybella performed one reading after another, but as much as it troubled her, she could find no command to end the life of her brazen adversary. Thus the blade remained sheathed. Everyone knew about the liaison between Kybella and her domain, but they also knew it would never turn into anything greater. Reluctantly, Kybella grew distant from the Lord Captain, content with her role as her beloved's bodyguard, and keeping her feelings confined to her own heart. As painful as the decision was, she saw no other path that the tenets of the Bloodspun Web could lead her down. Mattis Erebus was a loyal and dutiful servant of the rogue trader. He went on to become an outstanding bridge officer and a true Void Wolf. He visited many systems and worlds in the Coronis Expanse, but never set foot on his native Dargonis or saw his family again. Heinrich von Kallax, the former interrogator of the Order Xenos, took the mantle of Lord Inquisitor after his mentor's death. Receiving both the Inquisitor's rosette and the duty of defending the sector from the enemies of humanity, Van Kallax became the new warden of the Coronis Expanse. The Inquisitor became known as one who showed leniency towards small vices and who was prone to using questionable methods. Decades later, Von Kallax's own students branded him a dangerous radical, someone ready to use the instruments of chaos to achieve his ends. Before they could hand their mentor over to the tribunal, the Inquisitor disappeared without a trace among the distant stars at the edge of the Expanse. In her journeys with the rogue trader, Cassio Orselio experienced all the hardships and delights of the galaxy. The invaluable experience and new knowledge helped her to finally conquer her fears and accept herself and her powers. The Lady Navigator became novator of her house, tasked with addressing the consequences of Tisiphone's rule and the chaos that followed her disappearance. For the duration of her reign, she patiently worked on uniting the feuding branches of the house, forging alliances and expanding the influence of House Orselio. The Starway Atlas, which contained the memories of Tisiphone and the Set Hala clan, lost its power. House Orselio's navigators once again had to rely on skill alone in the depths of the Immaterium. Many lost their lives, but those who survived the crisis became hardened veterans and pillars of the house. Most of those fortunate souls were young and brave. Too few among them were old and wise. Novator Cassia and Vizier Kybella were brought closer by their common burden of assuming a high position of power at a young age. Though their friendship was short-lived, as it could not overcome the gravity of their duties and the differences between the worlds to which they belonged, they exchanged gifts out of respect for each other and to honor the memories of the journeys they had shared. Cassia used Kybella's blood to paint an incredible piece which became a relic of the blood-spun web. Kybella in turn assigned one of her best spinners to act as Cassia's bodyguard. Many years later, the spinner was rumored to have ended Cassia's life on the Novator's own orders when her body could no longer resist the strain of mutation. Idira Talas lived several more years after the rogue trader's grand scheme on Epitaph. Despite her short life, she left behind many legends and tales of her adventures in the Lord Captain's service and of the terrible warp phenomena that she manifested. At a time when Idira Talas was prepared to accept her fate, she found guidance where she least expected it, in the wisdom of the blood-spun web. The words of Vizier Kybella, who had come to know death better than any mortal soul, helped Idira look to her future not without regret, but without fear. For many years afterwards, there was an empty table in the common area of the officer's deck that had an intricate labyrinth carved into the tabletop. None of the crew sat at that table out of respect for the quiet and candid conversations once shared at it by a psyker and a servant of the undying emperor. Shortly before her death, Idira vanished from her post. Jay disappeared with her. When Jay returned many cycles later, she declared that Idira's last days had been spent full of joy and adventure, and her greatest pleasure had been watching the Void Whales play. Having revealed himself as the renewed messiah of discontinuing, Pascal Hanuman caused great turmoil. Free from his vows of service, he did not burden himself with leadership over the fleet. He took just one combat squadron and retreated with his flock to remote sectors for contemplation. Decades later, his ships were spotted among the heretics of the Cauldron, a sector touched by corruption. Their tech crews revered the Omnissiah, but his image was haunting. No one had dared depict the Deus Mechanicus in this manner before, adorned with sinister flesh, embedded lumens, and golden mech armor. And crowned with clawed wings, the Omnissiah chose a grim and belligerent likeness in which to appear before his unrighteous Messiah. The unit bearing the name Abel Hanuman did not follow Pascal. No longer needed by his ambitious comrade, he was discarded and left behind. While en route to station Alter Templum Calixus EXT-17, Abel was captured by pirates and forced to toil as a technomad. The day the Imperial Navy destroyed his pirate ship prison marked the end of his silent torment. Yeesh. Guess I really fucked up Pascal's path. For many long years, Iliad traveled at the rogue trader's side, helping him decipher the secrets of lost Xenos races and lending him the wisdoms of her kind. Half a century later, she sensed that it was time to say goodbye. The path of the outcast had come to an end. After bidding farewell to her Alantak, Iliad made her way to her surviving kin. Iliad followed a new path, the path of the warrior. She only hoped she would never be forced to raise her weapons against the mortals who would become her true brothers and sisters in arms. Rumor has it that Iliad and Pascal met again amongst the alien stars. A band of Eldari warriors were trying to protect an ancient planetary edifice. of their people from the covetous servants of the Omnissiah. Upon learning that Iliad was leading the Xenos, Pascal personally descended to the planet and struck down his former comrade in arms. Her death did not stir any feelings in his metallic heart. Man, Pascal's fucked up. Okay. After joining the Stormbiters, Ulfar Thunderlung soon became the pack leader, taking the place of Thorvald, who met an honorable end. The new leader sent a message to Fenris stating his intention to remain in the Expanse. There were too many enemies yet lurking in these hunting grounds that deserved the Allfather's wrath. Legends paved the formidable pack's path in gold. Years later, Ulfar found a battle in which he could meet his honorable death, but the warp was suddenly torn asunder, and ships from Fenris bearing the mark of the wolf head came to his aid. Saved from the battlefield by his loyal companion Halbrand, Ulfar accepted the honors of the Dreadnought and was entombed in sacred armor. During the blessed ritual, he cursed and demanded to be left to his death, but his brothers merely answered with mirthful laughter. When he recovered his senses, Ulfar led his forces to the heathen stars. The Allfather had given him a new mission in a near-death vision. No one in the Expanse has heard word of the Space Wolves since their departure, yet many believe that one day they will return victorious. Such was the echo of the deeds of the rogue traitor House von Valencius, deeds that transformed the Coronis Expanse and prepared it for events even darker and more violent. But those are the events of a different story. This one has come to an end. It's definitely a really good game. I think I fucked up on getting a lot of I don't know, true endings for a lot of characters, but I think that's just because a lot of them are tied to romances. That was but it was definitely a lot of fun. I do think it's interesting that it's like the whole Nomos ending is literally just essentially creating a barrier around the Expanse and turning it into its own like independent empire. Realistically, that's probably the best outcome you can hope for, considering the fact that it's like the Imperium is the Imperium. But yeah, that's the game. Final thoughts, it's a lot of fun. Like, despite any criticism that I have with, you know, glitches and issues like that, I mean, it is what it is. I kind of wish that Owlcat would just release these games in early access, kind of like what they did with Baldur's Gate 3, so that they can more effectively like make sure they have everything fixed by the time the game is like actually released. But I don't think that detracts from the fact that it's a really good game. And I do like how Owlcat really goes above and beyond with your dialogue decisions mattering. Like, as much as it's a pain in the ass sometimes when it's like, oh, well, you picked this one option, you're dead. It's like, there is the other flip side of that where it's like, there's a lot of really cool interactions you get that only come from, like, just very unique choices. I love most of the character designs. I think the only one that ever really pissed me off was Idira, and I mean, I will concede that she does actually get better at the end. It's like the fact she's able to come to an understanding that it's like, oh, you know, even if I'm to die as a psyker and everything goes tits up, at least I can go out leaving a, like, you know, decent footprint on the world. I'd also say that, like, Rogue Trader does an insanely good job of representing the lore. A lot of times I feel like RPGs in general, do not respect the lore of their world, especially in cases like 40K, because it's just so much shit to know. But I think they did a really good job with all of that. And it was also nice to see, like, it could have been really easy for them to just slide into a single enemy variety, like, oh, it's just Chaos, it's just Nurgle spawnlings, it's just this. But I mean, I feel like they did a really good job of, like, spreading out the types of villains you deal with throughout the series. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a perfect game. There are definitely flaws, and it's got a lot of unique quirks that cause problems. But at the end of the day, it's still a lot of fun. You can put hundreds of hours into this game and find new and unique, goofy ways to run through combat and do interesting dialogue options. You can also run as, I mean, I feel like with this and like Baldur's Gate 3, I really feel like more games should have a, like, drastically different story for like evil playthroughs. Like, I feel like what you do as, like, you know, a good playthrough should not be what, like, matches up with what you get out of an evil playthrough. And granted, I've never played it, but I know that, like, for Rogue Trader, like, you get a lot of different shit that happens if you go with a heretical playthrough. Yeah, I think, I didn't expect the end of the game to be as short as it was, to be honest. Like, I thought, like, the Epitaph world was gonna be way more of a slog to get through, like, combat-wise. But I mean, that could also be just attributed to the build I used. I mean, being able to do literal thousands of damage is just kind of broken. I don't understand how the like Wrath of the Emperor spell on like those staff, like that staff has been broken since like the first patch of this game, and it's never been touched. It's insane to me. It does more damage than like anything in the game. It's like not even close. With like the most minimal effort for setups. Um, yeah, I've loved both of Owlcat's games. They have their problems, and they have their quirks. And I'm just never a fan of how, like, in both games, they have, like, that Act 3 happening that just feels stupid. Like, I guess it's better in Rogue Trader, which is, like, terrible. It is weird to say, because it's like, Kamara is not good. But, I mean, spoilers for Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous if you've never played it. But in the like partway through the game, you end up in the like demonic realms or whatever, like the hells, something like that. I forgot what like the actual thing is for it. I'm pretty sure it's just the hells. But and like a bunch of stuff happens and you eventually get back, but when you get back to you know, the crusade you've been leading, it's been like a year. Like you basically like pass through like some weird kind of like magical shenanigans, so you get like pulled through like an entire year in time. So by the time you get back, the crusade that you had been successfully leading has now kind of been smashed back to like the very edge of like defeat. And then you have to build it all up again. And to me it's just sort of like, it's fun. It's like, it's still a fun thing to do, to like, you know, come back and save the day and everything, but it's not like there's anything new to the map you're on. You basically just reconquer the exact same shit it just did, and it's way more annoying because all your armies are gone and you have to find them, and if you don't find them, then you have to build new armies, and it's like, and then the armies have levels to them. The armies work kind of like, it's like worse ship combat. The ship combat in this game, like I shit on sometimes, but it's still fine. It's like, it's perfectly fun. It's like naval combat essentially. But the fucking the army combat in Pathfinder is so garbage, because all it is just put down a bunch of squares of units, make sure to hit their squares of units before they hit your squares of units, and then that's it. It's literally just like rock, paper, scissors. And essentially all it boils down to is just have a shitload of people in a single stack hit the other targets, kill them, rinse and repeat. And I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, no, I mean, Rogue Trader is just a super good time. It's a lot of fun. I will say that it's like Act 1 and 2 are definitely like the high point of the game. It's just, and it's not because like, oh, you know, Act 3 is that bad, or Act 4 and 5 are just a letdown. It's like, no, it's more, to me, personally, it's more about like the fact that combat just becomes super easy. Because it's like, I mean, it's a problem of like any RPG game. It's like as you get to the end of it, it's like, yeah, the enemies get stronger, quote unquote, but a lot of the times it's just, you know, they have more health, they do more damage, but it's like if you've got a combo that does like an insane amount of damage, or just like something that's well optimized, so you're just never going to let them go to begin with to do anything, and it doesn't really matter. And I think it's why it's like I really like RPGs and like CRPGs and turn-based games. I think they're a lot of fun because it's like, you know, it's more about relying on your mind to actually win the game than it is about like reflexes or hand-eye coordination or anything like that in some other video games. Um, but I don't know. CRPGs will always have like a special place in my heart, and I really like these kind of games where it's like turn-based strategy is just a lot of fun. But I do also really love action combats because, like, you know, Souls-likes, Elden Ring, Bloodborne's probably my favorite one. But like games with good action combat are, I wouldn't say like superior, but it's like there is definitely like you don't get as much of that. Like you still will have like there are ways to optimize a build so that you're just like broken as shit by the end game, but it's like but you still have to be like good. Like there still has to be execution involved. So like you can't just use the build and then you just you know, get to win and it's over. So one thing I'm curious about, because I did, like, this is a Grim Darkness save, and it's completed. So if I go to another, like, let's go to this save. Because, like, there's that box in the, like, in the captain's quarters. That says, like, you know, rewards not found and stuff like that. I wonder if, like, it has something in it now. And what the hell do you get for Grim Darkness, like, being completed? reward for the flagship in the vault of the Lord Captain's quarters. Oh, perfect. Yeah. Let's see what it is. Eh? Once per battle, whenever the wearer's wounds drop to 0, they regain 20% of their maximum wounds. Well, that's kind of underwhelming. But I mean, it's not bad. But it's also nothing too special, really. Okay, but I mean, that's everything. That's the... Yeah, because it's like, it's... The third act is like... The other problem is like, there's a lot of loot in this game. Like, an absurd amount of gear. And the great vast majority of it is kind of just whatever. But the stuff that is powerful is, like, game-warpingly strong. And I mean, I feel like you can draw a lot of comparisons to, like, how it works in, like, D&D. Where it's like, oh, well, your PC's just found fucking boots of speed, so nothing is out of melee anymore. Everything's about to get stabbed in the face, the eyes, the butt, the... It's over. It's over for you. Oh, and the rogue's putting them on? The one with the mobile feat? The one that does 800 damage around? It's over. But, yeah, no, it's just rough because, like, I don't know what the developers could do to make it... Like, they clearly try to. It's, like, by segmenting the health bars of enemies that make it so it's like, oh, if they get to, like, 66%, 33% health, then they take a forced action and they do their own thing. Kind of like what they did in the DLC. The big, fucking Gene Stealer you fight against. Where it had, it just becomes invulnerable for the rest of the turn once you get it down to that amount of health, and all that gets taken care of, but... Which it's like, is a decent solution, but at the end of the day, it's like... There was like a paper, like someone said something about it, but it's like, someone who plays a video game, it's like, weirdly enough, you are your own worst enemy, because by optimizing the experience, you basically make it that you play the game the least amount of possible. And that optimizing the builds and doing all that kind of takes the fun out of it, which I don't think is necessarily true, but it's like, I get like the concept of like, the more you figure out a video game and you like kind of like just optimize the strategy of it, the more it just kind of loses its flavor and it just kind of drops off from being interesting. But, well, I mean, this was a shorter stream than I expected, I guess, but I really thought there was going to be a lot more that happened on the Epitaph world. Like, it was going to take a lot more time. So... But I guess I'll call stream here. Yeah. And I mean, you know, that sort of thing is just, uh, it's magnified in a game like this, or like at Baldur's Gate 3, a lot of people could point to that one as well, or the Pathfinder game. Pretty much any game where it's like you have to make a lot of choices, it's like, I think that Rogue Trader deals with a big... I feel like Owlcat in general deals with a big issue as devs, because like they like to put like a secret ending in their games, because they've had one in this one and in Pathfinder, where there's like a unique extra like special ending you can get. But like, you know, because that exists, a lot of players then chase that decision, and so they just stop actively playing the game the way they want to, and will just be like, oh, well, I have to get the secret ending, and I have to get this achievement, or I have to do this. And it's like, you know, just playing games like that eventually just really sucks. And I don't mean it like it sucks to do, I mean that it's like it just like, it's just kind of a mentality that just kind of, I feel like, ends up taking away a lot of the fun from games like this. Like, because at the end of the day, like, this is essentially just it's like a tabletop game. You just have a DM that's already pre-prepped, and you're just playing through the game that they've already rolled out for you. And I feel like with this, as with like D&D or Pathfinder, any of those games, it's like failing and fucking up is half of the fun. It's like, if you just have a perfect adventure where you just win the entire time that you're playing, then like why even bother playing it? It's like you might as well watch a movie or something. But yeah, I think I'm gonna call stream here. Which is just kind of weird to call it this early. But I'll be back at it again tomorrow. I'm probably just gonna be playing some filler games for the next like week. Like just kind of some backlog stuff. Unless like there's a public outcry for anything in particular that you guys want. But I'm just gonna probably just kind of fill space until the new what the hell is it? Dragon Age comes out, because I want to play that on stream. I don't know if it's gonna be good. I'm worried, but you know, I'm gonna try and go into it with an open mind, and we'll see. But yeah, I'm gonna call stream here. Thanks for watching, and have a great rest of the day.